Good evening and welcome to a brand new Motorsports Almanac. Tonight, we have a very special guest with us this evening, a man who harnessed the horsepower of the skies and kept it close to the ground to harness multiple national championships. And when he wasn't sled pulling, he was a star in Factory Stock Showdown, and his family continues to be tractor pulling excellence out of the Northeast. Please welcome Gardner Stone and the Audettes. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. How we doing?
Well, we're doing awesome now that y'all are here.
Yeah, man, we've been excited for this. I think we started putting this together 2 weeks ago, and I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't think in a million years that we would have had the chance to interview all of you guys together. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for having us. We're looking forward to it. So,
yeah, guys, how are you? How are you all?
Good, doing good.
Yeah, great,
doing good.
Yeah. Wyatt, you ready for this?
The question is, I don't know where to start.
I don't either. You know, I mean, we kind of know Nick and Tyler from our side of in the pulling world, especially here lately, because I think Nick and Tyler both used to pull against James Darren and Super Farm. I don't know if your times crossed there or not.
I think they did. We never actually pulled against him.
Nope.
He sold it like right before we ever went to Bowling Green.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Then obviously the boss man in the middle, Mr. Gardner Stone, driver of the General Stage 4 as I knew it, some of the few times that I got to actually see it run. And then Mr. Justin Stone is to his be our right. He's into the dirt racing, and then Mr. Tom is over here on the very far end. He's made a name for himself in the racing world as well.
I guess the thing to do is to really start chronologically with the family and with what the career is. For Gardner, you started in a mini rod, right?
Yeah. Can you speak into the speaker a little bit more? We can't hear you. You got volume on that?
It's all the way up. Sorry. Just listen.
Oh, no. I wonder if I can adjust the volume from here.
You might be able to.
Move closer to it.
No, it won't let me do it.
How did you get started in a mini rod?
There you go.
Well, it's kind of a long story, but back in the day, I thought tractor pulling was about the stupidest thing you could ever find. Had a couple guys. Now, there was a lot of it in Vermont. And for somebody to put a big motor in a tractor and go out and pull in the dirt, I said, this is crazy. Well, it just so happened one night after the car auction, I was in Albany, New York, came back to Vermont, and there happened to be a tractor pull in Rutland, Vermont. And I said, well, I got to stop and see what's going on. So I did. And I'll tell you what, that really, really was something. Back in the day, there was this great big guy that pulled tractors. His name was Tiny. I think it was 3 feet across. The tires are 3 feet across. He just barely sat into the thing and had a little bit of a hat on. And when he fired that tractor up, it was a IH super stock. The smoke came out, the tires lit, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I said, I got to do this. I got to try it. So here I am, 40 years later.
Is that a rule that any big guy's got to be nicknamed Tiny? Is that's a thing everywhere, right?
That was his name. His nickname, Tiny. He was the New York tractor puller.
That is huge.
He was a little short guy. He was as wide as he was tall.
What did you have in your first mini? What was power in it?
What did you say?
What did you have for motor in your first mini?
It was an L88 427. We needed the aluminum heads to make the weight. Back then, the mini class was 1550 and 1750. You'd run in the afternoon 1550. At night, you'd put 200 pounds on and 1750. But in Vermont, we didn't have any minis. We didn't have anything like that. I'd never seen a tractor pull, only that once. And when I finally got mine put together, we went down to Walton, New York. And here we are at a tractor pull with a whole bunch of minis and everybody else. And drew straws for how we start. And didn't I draw a test puller? Never been in the tractor before, never seen it before, never whatever. When the smoke settled after the boat show,
Did we lose him?
You there?
You there?
Nope.
Okay.
You
I
got
heard something go weird.
Yeah, someone like
Yeah, something on the audio. I don't know what that was, but you were saying you were first hook on driving the mini rod for the first time?
First hook, yeah. And then we won that class, came back to the night section and won that class. So my first hit at tractor pulling was pretty damn good. You go downhill from there.
So where did you go from there on the pulling side? Did you go up to modified next after that?
I ran the Mini for a couple of years, but and the only reason I got into the Mini, I had no way of transporting a big tractor. And I really wanted to get into mods, but I didn't want the maintenance. You're hearing about all the Hemis, all the work you had to do it on the Chevys. They blow them up left and right, and 50 runs, you got to change cranks. And I said, I can't handle all that.
So you chose an Allison.
Different people in pulling, they said, well, the Allison V12, God, you can just run it season after season, change the oil, and that's all you had to do. I said, that's what I need. So my first modified was an Allison with triple 1150 carburetors on it, gas job. First season with the thing. Now, these are motors supposed to last forever and whatever, but we didn't have it quite geared right. And I went through 9 motors the first year. I mean, the last one, I had tears in my eyes when it blew up. I said, well, it was just crazy. So I sent, I knew there was a problem because we were burning up bearings and whatever. So I had 3 motors, and I sent them out to Mike Holden in Hogland, Indiana. I guess that's where he was from, but he put together 2 motors out of my 3 for me and brought it back, put it in the tractor. And boy, the first run down the track, it ran great. But I looked at the oil pressure, I had 0 oil pressure coming off the track. I said, oh boy, this isn't good. I ran that thing for 4 years like that, just ran the hell out of it. And 0 oil pressure. And then finally a rod bolt broke, but we never burned the motor down or anything. But that was a great motor.
And the Allison aircrafts were competitive back in that time too.
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
They were competitive back then.
Yeah, absolutely. They were very competitive. We could run with 2 blown Chevys. 2 blown Hemis are kind of not so good, but yeah, they were very competitive. Next tractor I had was single Allison. Then I named that the General, and that had turbochargers, alcohol injection with Hillborn injection, running alcohol. And that ran in the 5, 7, and 9 class. And that, once we got that one figured out, and that took a while, that tractor was pretty competitive. Then I went to a twin with turbos, alcohol injection, the whole deal. That was one of the best tractors. I had them counter rotating. And at that point, I don't believe anybody had ever done that. And that tractor was just like rails on the track. You could put it anywhere you wanted to. That was a great tractor. And the second year with it, I brought out the triple, and my son ran the twin. And we'd gone through and put some high compression pistons and so on in the twin. And I figured, boy, we're really going to have a year. But what we didn't know at that time, I'd sent it the rear end out. I had a new ring and pinion put in it. They put the wrong ratio in. They geared it way too high. And Todd just had a terrible time. We kept burning up clutches, couldn't understand why we couldn't get off the line because it should have worked. But how did we know that had a wrong ring and pinion in it? So
how much did you guys talk to like the hydroplane racers? Was there an exchange of what knowledge there?
The hydroplane racers. Did you talk to any of those guys about the Allisons when you were?
Yes, I did. I had when the single engine one, when I was putting that together with turbos, alcohol, and so on. I got one of the hydroplane racers to come in here and work with me on the motor. His name was Dave Stewart. He'd been running Allisons, but they were a whole different program than what we were running. Some of the stuff worked and some of it didn't.
So when did you make the jump to the turbines?
Well, we had the triple out, and we ran 7 and 9 with that. We take front motor off and slide the 2 ahead, and run the 7, then put the front motor back in. That was 2,000 pounds with the gearbox and everything. We run the 9. But at that time, also 4 Hemis were coming out, and 5 and 6 and 7 Chevys were coming out, and Banner had, I think, once upon a time 7 on. And we just didn't have power enough to run with these guys. So I was talking to Art Arfonts and talking about, I need to do something and whatever. And he said, why don't you run a turbine? And I said, Art, I couldn't put up with what you are. Every time he would come to a pull-off, he didn't know if the things were going to start, or maybe one would start or none would start. It was just terrible. But he had T64 GEs in it. And he said, boy, don't do what I did. Get some T55s. I didn't know a T55 from anything else. But finally, and I really wanted the ones that were put in the Sky Crane, the turbines. But scouring around through the country, I could only find maybe 2 if I was lucky. And they were around 5,000 horsepower apiece, and I figured that would work. But there was no backup parts anywhere to be had. So if you burned it down or had a problem, you were done. You parked your tractor. So I just decided, well, I better get the T55s because there's a lot of parts. That's the same motor that they were running in the unlimited hydroplanes at that time. And so I got the guy out in Nebraska to build me 4 T55s out of scrap. And if you ever looked at my tractor, I have a very wide frame on it. I wanted my motor sitting just as low as I could get it for a lower center of gravity in the top, and that would make the top motor come down also, so it wouldn't get as radical if you got out of control. So anyways, that's why I came out with that stair step deal. And also my exhaust, if you look at that, now these turbines will put out 400 pounds of down pressure in the tractor. So that's 1,600 pounds that you're putting additional down pressure when you're going. So I had my exhaust angled, so when I was up in the air about a foot, it would go right directly. All that extra weight would go to the rear tires, and it worked real well.
Oh, wow.
So with the down pressure being in, the exhausts were mounted to the front, towards the front of the tractor, correct?
Right. Well, of course, the exhaust is pointing frontwards, but I had them angled. There's a little bevel on the top of the thing that angled the fire away from me, but it also angled the down pressure to the rear tires.
So then
all motors put out down pressure, but you might just as well use them if you got a tractor or whatever to your advantage.
So then would that make you weight or throw more weight to the back or towards
Absolutely.
the rear?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Did you ever see Mr. LD Nation's, I think it was his last 4 aces that he had. What would have been the purpose of having them face the turbine openings facing back towards him? Would that have made a difference compared to what yours was?
When I saw that tractor, I said, I'm in deep trouble, because by putting the motors, the gearbox in the center, and putting the motors in 2 and backwards, 2 and frontwards.
No, he's talking the last 4 aces with the 2 giant turbines where they're.
I never saw that one, but I saw his first 4 engine.
Yeah, the Pratt & Whitneys.
But the object of that was counter rotating, so you're equalizing the torque when you have motors coming both ways. That was a great idea.
Wow. Did you ever work with him at all on your tractor too? I know that kind of the turbine guys had a tendency to work together.
I knew him real well. He and I would always shoot the crap, but he was a little bit of a different bird.
It's an interesting character.
Yeah. Interesting character, Tyler says.
Yeah. So I know that you've pulled here in the United States and you've been very successful, but I mean, from what I've been told, you were pretty successful over in Europe. Everybody really enjoyed having you over there. Kind of talk to us about some of your experiences there, because I always enjoy hearing about that, because I don't feel like we get to see enough of it here in the States.
When you went to Europe, tractor pulling.
Talk about your experiences and stuff.
Did you go over there with the triple engine, Allison?
Yeah. The first time over there was in 87, I think, something like that, with the triple.
It was 87.
And we pulled in Ahoy Stadium, and that was a whole new experience. The indoor pulling over there, but the crowd was crazy. It was just a wonderful experience. But the first night, I think we had, I think we were supposed to make 6 runs or something like that. But the first night we blew a motor. Well, here we are. We got to put on a show. And so with the triple, you couldn't run the tractor with the motor still engaged, with the clutch still in there, because it'd be turning the motor over all the time. So we had to pull it apart, take the clutch out of the motor that went, and run it with 2 motors. But I was very impressed. One of the German guys came by and looked at it and says, "Oh, you're counter rotating." Nobody had ever picked up on that, because you can look at the gearbox, you can see an extra gear on one side. And I was very impressed. Those guys don't miss a trick. But anyways, when we got back on the track, I told the sled operator, I said, "Look, I've never pulled this tractor in the 9,000-pound class with 2 motors. I don't really know what's going to happen. So lighten it up a little bit so I can get a load, because you're over there putting a show on." So lo and behold, we took off. And by the time halfway down the track, I was going out of control. I was going so fast that it was crazy. The sled operator jumped off. He was scared to death. And I wound up wedging it in the tunnel at the end of the track. Damn, why I didn't get killed or something, I have no idea. But the crowd really liked that one.
Wow. And then you went back over again with Stage 4, 2018?
Yeah, I've been over there a total of 4 times.
Oh, wow.
Last year was at 18, but I went over there. I can't even remember the years, but 04 I was there, I believe. And I don't know, I've been there 3 times with a turbine and twice with a triple.
5 times. It's 5 times. Been there once with a triple, 4 times. Or
Once with a triple, 3 times with a turbine.
okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But you weren't just into pulling either. You were into the drag racing side of things. Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I started drag racing. That's what I first ever raced in my life, was drag racing. 1963, I had a 421 Pontiac Grand Prix tri-carbs with a 4-speed. And that was my first attempt of racing anything. And then back in, I went into service and changed jobs and did whatever. So I didn't get back into racing until, the hell was it, 66. I had a 396, 375 Chevelle 4-speed. Boy, that thing was that was one of my best race things ever. That car was just absolutely on rails. It just was great. And then I raced a couple Novas. Well, the second year, I was 66, 67, had an L88 Corvette coupe. Now, what we didn't know at the time, that they only made 21, 22 of them. And I didn't realize that was going to be a collector's item or whatever. But that's sitting in Orlando right now in Roger's Corvette collection. That was a great car, but you couldn't tickle a gear the way you could with that 396 Chevelle. I tried everything. I tried crash boxes. I tried everything to make that car really tickle a gear and shift, and never could do that. But it was a great car nonetheless. Then I got out of that. I went snowmobile racing, went stock car racing, both asphalt and dirt. I went enduro racing, a whole bunch of different things. And back in year 12, my son said, "Dad, we got a chance of getting a Cobra Jet. Would you like one?" I said, "Yeah, put my name on a white one." So I went racing a Ford Cobra Jet for 3 or 4 years, and then jumped into a 19 Cobra Jet. And I had a lot of fun, but I was the late 70s then, and I set a record with it. We did 185 miles an hour in 7.5 seconds on 9-inch tires. But my last few years there, I was having trouble red lighting. And I was seeing things in my eyes. I went and had my eyes operated on and did everything. But I finally said, this is not fair to my crew when I screw up like that, because I had a nice car. But it's the way it goes. You get old. I'm 82.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I set the record when I was 80.
So then your last year of competition was 22 or 21?
What did you say?
Last year your race was 22, right?
You raced in 23, I thought.
No, 22 was last year.
Okay.
Wow.
You raced last year.
So what kind of racing did you do on the dirt side and the asphalt side?
Well, it was the dirt modifieds, Eastern dirt modifieds. That's the same thing as my grandson's racing now, Justin, and my son is racing.
Yeah.
And then we also put him on.
And
Troy.
And Troy, my other grandson, which isn't here, he's had a hell of a career to start with in dirt racing. But then they let us run these dirt cars on asphalt, change the tires, change this and that, and so on. And we ran those for a few years too. In fact, I was running modifieds and tractor pulling at the same time.
Oh,
When I was home between tractor pulling, I'd go dirt racing.
wow.
So at that time, did you just pick and choose what you did, pulling or racing at the time?
Did you pick it? You kind of followed tractor pulling, right? And then went to racing.
Yeah, well, I had committed to the Grand National Circuit. So when you do that and you make a commitment, you honor it. In fact, we were at Bowling Green. No, it was at Chapel Hill. And my stepson was in the Navy, and he was on the Ronald Reagan. And my wife and I had opportunity to go on the first cruise to the Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier, shakedown cruise. And that was the same weekend as Chapel Hill. And I didn't go because I said, we got to go to Chapel Hill. That's the way it is.
Yeah. When was the last time you ran in Chapel Hill?
I don't remember. All I know, it's the hottest place in the world.
See? Chapel Hill is only 2.5 hours from my house, so that's kind of been my home area whenever the NTPA circuit would come down. So I know that place very, very well.
You know the heat that's there, don't you?
I do.
It's right in the valley, and boy, that heat just settles in, and the humidity, and it's unbelievable at times.
It's all the time, that whole weekend.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Mr. Todd, I mean, you've made a career for yourself, too, in the racing world. Talk to us a little bit about your racing experiences and some of your memories.
Yeah, well, I think I was 15 years old, I think, when I actually started tractor pulling. I think it was around 15. I was 15, right?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah, and I think my first pull was at Greenwich, New York. And I pulled the single engine Allison with the turbochargers on it. My dad had a twin engine Allison, and I think my dad won and I got first and second that day. And so that's where I started pulling. And then I jumped up to the twin, ran that, and then I did run a triple once, actually at a fair in Addison County, Vermont. And I enjoyed tractor pulling, but I watched how much traveling my dad did, and he only goes, you're lucky if you go 300 feet, and I'm like, I need a little bit more than that. So I started. I bought a Ford Pinto. Actually, that was my first race car.
Yeah.
Yes,
Nice.
4-cylinder. Started racing that at Devil's Bowl. I had a lot of fun with it. And I got a quick story. I won my first race at Malta, New York. I rolled it that night, and we picked it back up on its wheels and got it going. I went out and won the feature. So that was kind of a cool thing to do. But I ran that for a year. Then I jumped up to a pro stock and ran that. And then my dad got a pro stock, and we ran those for 2 years after that. And then we jumped into a modified. We both got modifieds and ran that. I did that for quite a while, and then I jumped into a late model. There's a division up here called ACT. I ran that for 3 or 4 years. And then I jumped back into a modified again and ran on dirt. And then I started running on asphalt with the late model, or excuse me, with the modified. And then I what else did I do after that?
Went back to asphalt, no,
Yeah.
asphalt late model.
I went back to asphalt late model
And
racing
dirt
again.
racing at the same time.
And then I ran a little bit in Florida. I ran an IMCA mod in Florida at New Smyrna. And
Won the World Series of that.
yeah, won the World Series first time down there. And I was the first Vermonter to ever win a World Series event at New Smyrna. And now I jump back into dirt racing, and now I've kind of stepping back a little bit and helping my son go racing. And it's his 4th year of racing on dirt, and we're signed up this year to run the Super Dirt Car Series. That brings us quite a few different races and all over New England. So I'm pretty excited to go do that with him.
What Todd didn't tell you is when he got his first late model car, dirt car, he had it home, and I was going around it with him and said, "You need to do this and this and this." He said, "Well, Dad, if you're so smart, why don't you have one?" That afternoon, I had one. So then we went to Duke Southern School of Stock Car Racing in Florida, and we didn't know anything about cars. I mean, absolutely nothing. So here we are at school trying to get ourselves picked up, and we're in with a bunch of people who knew exactly what the hell they were talking about. So they're talking about offsets and stagger and bump steer and all this, and oh my God. So we get through the classes, get our cars set up, and we go to the first day of on the track. We had a little meeting beforehand, and Duke said, now you foot brake, don't you? Or left foot. We look at each other. What's he mean left foot? Well, I meant you put your left foot on the brake and your right foot on the gas. We didn't know what the heck he was talking about. So anyways, that was Todd's and my first experience with race cars with late models. And our first race down to Albany, Saratoga, there again, we had no idea what we were doing. We're in the race, and everybody's clashing and banging and so on. And we were just out there having fun. When the dust settled, we finished first and second.
Oh, that's cool.
And I actually have finished first and second with my son a couple years ago racing. That was pretty cool. It's a good thing the race wasn't a little bit longer because I was coming.
You know, it's neat when you race with your son and finish first and second, or in the same races with him. That's a neat thing, neat feel.
Absolutely. So we have an interesting comment here from one of our viewers that's watching. Mr. Robert Case says, "Big hello to Todd and Gardner from Bob Case, Todd's first crew chief."
Yes, it was. Bob Case, great guy. He worked for us at the dealership, helped me with my car, helped build 2 cars. And Bob was a great guy, an excellent guy. He helped me out a ton. We used to load his toolbox into our trailer with our Suburban. I used to haul it with an open trailer and a Suburban. We'd throw the toolbox in the trailer, and we head to the races on Friday night, and then we race on Saturdays. Bob was a great guy. He helped me out a ton. Thanks, Bob.
His son was my crew chief on my late model car when we first got it.
Oh, wow. Well, Blair Stone says, "Hi, Dad, Justin, Poppy, Nick, and Tyler."
Blair.
Hi, Blair.
Now, Nick, if you were telling me right, we're actually missing one more person. Your brother, I think you told me, that races as well. Tyler's brother.
His name is Troy.
Yeah.
Troy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he races the dirt modifieds down at Devil's Bowl too. Well, Sportsman modified. We don't have a big motor, but
Oh, you got the small block now.
we've got a medium motor now.
That would work. But we got to my father, Troy, and I all got to race with each other for a little while at Devil's Bowl. All raced on this, same race, same track, same everything. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Troy has always wanted to race, and it never came right for him to do this. And 2 years ago, he finally decided he was going to do it. He bought a used modified, and I'll be darned, he went out and he won the championship that year, first time in the car.
That's cool.
It is. He did a hell of a job.
Yeah. So we have a comment from one of our fellow media members, Adam Drought. He said, I know Tyler's driven the Stage 4 a few times. Are there any plans for the General to make a return to the track in the future? And for Tyler, how is driving the Unlimited mod different from the 4-1 Limited Pro?
There you go, Ty.
Future for the General, as of right now, no. Unfortunately, in 2018, when we went over to the Netherlands, me and the tractor had a bit of a battle, and it wins whenever you have a battle. Yard sailed some weights, and pretty sure, actually, I know the frame is bent. One turbine has damage. Probably really need a new chassis to make that tractor competitive today. I mean, that chassis is as old as I am. 35 years old. So it's pretty old. Compared to a 4-1, there's nothing the same. And my grandfather.
Is there a little bit of an intimidation factor?
Oh hell yeah, that tractor scares the shit out of me. And my grandfather goes, "Oh, that tractor's fine. That tractor, it's like sitting in a rocking chair. It just goes." Yeah. Bullshit, it does. I don't know if there's something I still believe there's something he does that he doesn't realize, like second nature. Either that or the tractor just despises my being. But yeah, me and the tractor battle. It's nothing similar to when I was running Super Farm or 4-1. I mean, there's no clutch on that. It's line lock. Watch your gauges. Spool it up to a certain percent. Pray that God doesn't want to see you and let the switch off. And away you go.
Pray that the good Lord doesn't call you home.
Yeah, that he don't want to see you today.
Yeah.
So.
I think the one time I actually got to see it run, the older I got, I think it was like, I had to have been 14 or 15 years old whenever you drove it at Bowling Green. I think that was the one time I've gotten to see it run in my memory.
I have to think, and this was quoted a lot by some announcers at the time, that tractor had a gear in it that was 180 mile per hour tire speed. Can you confirm or deny?
No, it's 160 mile an hour.
Okay.
The
It's
engine turned
wow.
15,400 RPM, so we're turning the drive line all the way through into the ring and pinion 15.4.
Holy smokes.
Holy cow.
I remember Nick and Tyler, I remember meeting you guys for the first time. It was out at Langford, New York. And we were out there with Adam, or with Andrew, my late business partner Andrew, to announce the Light Limited Supers. And we got done with the program and hopped in a side-by-side. I think Adam Drought was driving it, and Andrew was in the front, and I was in the back with the Volpole girls, and we tore through the pit area and went past your pit. And that was the year that we debuted the white sidetrack shirts, and I had the white pants on. And you guys looked at me like, "Who's this idiot?" But you guys couldn't have been nicer. It was nice to meet you out there. That was a fun time.
Yeah, we've only made it there twice. It's too bad they don't have us there anymore. It's a nice place.
Yeah.
What are some of y'all's favorite pools to go to? I'm sure Bowling Green's up there. Essex Junction, is it still around? I'm not sure.
Wow.
No, they canceled that about 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, more than that.
Was it?
I was in college the last time we pulled there.
So last year they
6
had
years ago,
in
7 years
Essex
ago.
Junction was Mike Conley came up. Julia wasn't with
we
him.
pulled there after NY.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying. Oh, I thought he was talking about MTPA. Yeah, we
Well, just
pulled
as a whole.
Why?
2, I think.
Just one.
I pulled once with the flames and the smiley face, and I pulled once with a red tractor. So
I'll probably mispronounce this, but is Contoocook, New Hampshire, is that in there with that? That's not a thing anymore either.
Cook, New Hampshire.
Contoocook, yeah. What about it? I didn't hear.
No,
They
it's
still full there?
No, at least not with the circuit that we know of.
Yeah, I kind of thought.
Well, one of my favorite places, Toma, Wisconsin.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I'd like it more if we didn't suck so much.
Yeah.
When was the last time y'all were at Toma?
Gardner or us?
Yes.
What did you say?
When was the last time you pulled in Toma?
Oh God. Had to be 7, 8 years ago, anyways, maybe more.
Man.
I
Probably.
thought it was all of that.
Was it the last year you ran the Grand National Circuit?
Yeah, I don't even remember. What
So that was 07?
No, I pulled in 10.
You didn't run the full circuit though.
No, I didn't know.
Okay. So
But I would,
it wasn't
if
the
I was
year
pulling,
you
I
ran
would
full
have
circuit.
gone to. I'd go to Bowling Green. I'd go to Toma and
Yeah.
a couple others if I was going to pull.
Yeah, Nick and Tyler, when's the last time y'all were there?
We went in just once in 19 and looked like we didn't belong.
We didn't belong.
We learned a lot that day.
They went there to get an education. They got the education.
We got-
Tyler came back and won the championship. And if he hadn't have gone there and figured the damn thing out, he wouldn't have won the championship. So it's all good.
We found 2 major problems out there. It just didn't look good doing it.
When you find
Well,
problems,
that's-
it doesn't want to be 23 hours from home.
No.
I'm glad it's only 3 hours from my house. So
You guys are lucky.
Yeah.
Any pull we go to, we got it's a trucking contest.
True.
You can race Devil's Bowl.
With your old Allison tractor still being out there in the Zemsic's hands, is there an itch to get back in the seat for one more go?
Pulling your old tractor.
Guy,
Yeah, the animal.
Allison.
I'm surprised you asked that because last summer my old tractor was the triple with 2 motors was out to our local fair, and the guy won with it. And I didn't know him from a bale of hay, and he came over and we were shooting the breeze, and he wants me to run it next summer. But what I really would like to do is put Tyler into it because Todd's run that tractor, I run the tractor, and I'd like to see my grandson run it.
That's awesome. They're good. They're good people, and I will try to be there if I can to see that happen. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a good old tractor, and the guy's done very well with it. I'd like to see Tyler run.
He's a nice guy. He really
He's
is.
not saying totally no about the itch to get into it, though.
Yeah, we all missed that. Sorry, say that again.
I said he's not saying no to go to wanting to drive one.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
He doesn't say no to much.
We'd all like to see
yeah, I go.
Yeah, Harold Card says Zimic would definitely let him.
Yeah.
What would be a neat deal? The guy's got the setup to put the 3rd motor on. Now that's what I'd really like to see. Put 3 motors on that thing and go again.
You can't do that in New York.
Well,
Who cares?
Anyways.
Who cares, Mark? I'm calling Mark right now. We're gonna figure this out.
Where's he from?
He's in New York somewhere. He's a farmer out there.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, tell him to put the 3rd motor on.
Yeah, Mark, let's do this. Come on. And after they're done with it, my turn.
Oh,
So you guys talked about the chassis on the general stage 4 being tweaked, and I get that and the need to fix that. That makes sense. What do you guys think about modern tire technology, the Mitas, and how turbines would react to that? That seems to be a thing, is it not?
We've just been talking about that. There's something with this, with my tractor that The last few times to run it, we have not been able to make it hook up. It gets violently in the air and all four wheels off the ground. So. But I'm just wondering if it's the tires. I've even changed the angle on the cut of the tires. I've tried everything. I mean, everything you can think of. I tried to make that tractor work. But we were just talking about just a few minutes ago here that maybe the new style tire would eliminate the hop the tractor has. And the tractor will run and go, but we just got to get rid of the hop.
If you don't mind my asking, what are you looking for from the tire in terms of behavior for the turbine?
So they don't wind up and make the tractor start bounding.
Probably a stiffer
Ply.
Yeah,
stiffer
14
ply.
Stiffer
The
side.
problem with the turbine, I mean, I've only ran it a handful of times, but there is no feathering a turbine like feathering a Hemi.
Right.
It's all or nothing. You get out of it and it might come back, it might not. So you need a tire that's not just gonna wrinkle and then unload on you. I don't really know, but I think tire technology could help nowadays with that for certain.
The old Firestones, the long bar, short bar, worked excellent on that tractor. Then when we went to the Puller 2000s, I have been fighting it ever since. It was just
You were successful. Yeah, you were successful on what we would call single cut, right?
On the track and changed tires for the track.
Yeah, you were successful on what I think we would call single cuts now, the old Firestones, but not a double cut, a single cut seemed to work on that tractor.
I was the first one to double cut a set of tires, and that was on my single engine Allison with a turbo.
Okay. All right. So you worked with did you work with Bob Dabrowski on that?
What's that?
You work with Bob Dabrowski.
I did it myself.
Oh, okay.
I cut the tires myself. I spent a lot of time at the garage at nights with a grinder getting that extra bar put in all the way around.
Wow.
And our first run with it afterwards was at the Indy Super Bowl. And boy, that tractor just performed and worked good. I took second. Ronnie Reed beat me with a couple Hemis, but I was right tight on his tail.
Well, that Ronnie Reed anyway. The heck with that guy. No, I'm kidding.
So, before you jumped in the mod, what was the aspiration to jump into the big mod? I might have missed this earlier.
I can't hear.
What was the reason? What was your goal when you jumped into the mod class?
Why did you want to do it?
Yeah.
I just wanted to do something that was different. I liked the competition in the mod class. Also, New York really hated minis. The guys that run big tractors didn't even want us around. And when we first got going with the minis, I kind of would get a hold of the promoter and I'd say, we'd give you the mini class if you'd run us. And so we got in there and got the minis kind of going. But you always try to seek something better than you are. And so I thought the modified was it. I've enjoyed modifieds.
Was there another class that really piqued your interest if you didn't run mods?
If you didn't run mods, was there any other class that piqued your interest that you maybe thought about?
No. I like it. Run what you brung and hope you brung enough. If you didn't, go home, get some more. I like that.
Yeah. Another one of our good friends of the show, Mr. Colin Burkholz. Mr. Gardner, he asked you, he said, who's your favorite person to compete against?
Who's your favorite person to compete against? Who'd you enjoy competing with?
The guy that I really admired in the whole pulling circuit, and I didn't get to compete with him a lot, was Bruce Hutchison, Macon Bacon Special. That guy was a class act. And when I first saw him at the Indy Super Bowl back in 76, somewhere in there, in an all-black tractor with all aluminum motors, and I'd never even seen an all-aluminum Chevrolet motor. I mean, I said, that guy's a class act. He was a good competitor, good person, and he was one of my heroes.
That's really cool. So I've been told that you had a very close relationship with Mr. Dave Schreier from NTPA. Can I talk to us a little bit about that? How you guys got to know each other over the years?
Well, Dave was on the board from Wisconsin for the National Tractor Pull Association, and I was on the board from Vermont. So we'd meet at the annual local the meetings for NTPA, and then Dave got to be president. But we just had a great time together. We did a lot of things together. He was just a great friend, and I can't say enough about him. He was a good person. I told Dave years ago, the competitors were giving him a lot of crap about whatever, and he was trying very, very hard to keep the National Tractor Pull Association together. When we took over, it was $500,000 in debt, and we were at the meeting there, and I think this was '86, something like that. And we either had to close the doors and forget about National Tractor Puller, or get our act together and get some money. There's my mini. And
Actually, t-shirt, string bucket.
Actually, I made a commitment at the meeting. I said, we're either going to do this, or we're going to get rid of the association. So we better be raising some money to get its whole. So all of us got together, everybody at the meeting, and went out, called everybody we knew to sell debentures and stock in NTPA. And that's why it's still here today. And Dave was very much a part of that.
Yes, sir. One of the memories I have personally of Mr. Dave, we were sitting up in the Enderley pull-off. I'm sure you've been there probably even whenever it was in Fort Recovery, right?
Yep.
Yep. Him and I were sitting there one night, and I was younger. I think I had to have been at least 12 or 13. And I had never got the chance to see semis pull before. And this was whenever Case IH had kind of first come into the NTPA, and I was getting really excited. He said, "Son, this is the first time you've ever seen semis before, huh?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, you picked a good place to do it." I still remember that to this day.
What'd you say?
But watching the semis pull at
Enderley, and he said that this is the first time you ever seen semis pull, and he said, "Yeah, so we picked a good place to see it."
Yeah.
And you were personal friends with Mr. Enderley, correct?
Oh, yeah. Kay Enderley and I were very good friends. In fact, Dave, his wife, and I went out to, when his Kent's wife died, we went out to the funeral in California. So I got to tour his facility where he made all the fuel injection parts and so on. He was a good guy. Self-made, just a good guy.
Yeah. Charles, where are you finding all these pictures at?
Oh, I have my ways.
I can't see that one as well.
That's Gardner giving Mr. John Heilman a big hug.
What the heck is
John Heilman? Yeah. Is he still alive, or
No.
he passed away? He passed away.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, his son. Oh my goodness! Look, you stop and stare and go, "Is that the same guy?" Like, unbelievable resemblance.
John Heilman was clever. You know, when I first double cut my tires, and that was at Indy prior year for me bringing out the twin. Then when I brought out the twin, I had double cuts right on it. But John Heilman, about the third pull after that, he had double cut his tires. He's the first one to catch on.
He was a smart guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's the same one, Allison, with the turbos on.
How different was tuning that? It's back in the mechanical days. Well, still is. Were you feeding that? No, you had Hillborn on it, but how temperamental were those turbo Allisons to work with?
Very temperamental. They weren't designed to burn alcohol. We didn't have the compression ratio for alcohol, and we didn't have the ignition. We were running the regular aircraft mag ignition, which wasn't enough spark to start with, and all we had was aircraft plugs. You had to be right on the number to make a run with it, or you sometimes couldn't even get it started. And the problem being is we had to lean it out so you could make it work. You could come back for a second pull if you were lucky enough getting the pull off, but if you had to do any more than two, you'd blow a rod out the bottom or something, it'd detonate. It just was very, very, very temperamental. And when you had three of them on, that was a whole nother program.
Was it hard to find reverse rotation engines, or was that just ignition and camshaft stuff? Like, was that easy to make them opposite?
To find the reverse rotation,
They had a right and a left-hand rotation in the twin engine, like the P-38 was a twin engine airplane. So they had a right and left rotation on that. And the left rotation is automotive. The right rotation is non-automotive. So in the non-automotive right-hand rotation was a lot more plentiful than the left-hand. And so that was one reason my single Allison with turbos, I put a right-hand rotation in it, but I found some reverse rotation planetaries so I could make it go ahead. And that was a whole nother program, making that all work. But the left was a lot harder to get than the right.
Question for Mr. Paul Weeks. Thoughts on Mike Holden, since you both had Allisons at one time?
Mike Holden. Thoughts on
Yes.
Mike Holden? He's a great guy.
He's great. Mike Holden's a great guy. He was an innovator. He did a lot of stuff that nobody really knows about. He's the only one that ever had 4 Allisons in a tractor. Great innovator, great guy, very smart, good guy.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that there had ever been 4 on one of them.
He never really got it working right, but he did it. He had them all stripped down and all the weight possible taken off the motors, and he had 4 in there. And I don't know if he ever made some good pulls with it or not. I can't remember. But
Well, the way you got your Allison to live was because the bearings were too tight. Remember, you said you got to run old, worn out motors and put those bearings into the.
Yeah, Mike is the one that got my original Allison with a motor that I could work, because, like Todd was just saying, I bought motors anywhere I could find them, but the best motors were the ones that had already been run because there was more clearance in the bearings. But the top end and everything else, the best motors was a crate motor, which was brand new. But it was so damn tight that if you over revved it, they were only supposed to turn 3,500 or so. And if you really whaled on them, you would seize the bearing. And that's what I was doing. So he figured it out, and he put in my 12 counterweighted crank into the other motor with the old bearings. And that lived. I mean, I turned it $5,000 every time down the track.
And the bearings were made out of silver, right?
Yeah, bearings were silver.
Oh, wow.
I want to go back in time and just listen to that.
You know, those motors, the 2 motors that the Unlimited Hydros ran were the Allison and the Rolls-Royce -9s. But the Rolls-Royce -9 had a lot better supercharger. And that's what originally in World War II, the original P-51s came out with the Allison in them, but they couldn't get to altitude. So they retrofitted them all with the Rolls-Royce motor because it had the better supercharger. So that's the same thing the guys used in the Unlimited Hydro was the -9 Rolls-Royce. But the difference, and I've had the Rolls-Royce, I never ran them, but I've had them. But the difference in the 2 motors, the Allison was such a beautifully built motor. And I mean, the workmanship was just second to none.
And Rolls-Royce on it and everything.
Yeah. The Rolls-Royce just wasn't an Allison. Wasn't anywhere near as nice.
Wow. Some incredible stories in history there, going through all those. Justin, I kind of want to talk to you a little bit, man. You're kind of the guy that I got to kind of put this whole thing together. Let's talk about your racing career a little bit. You said you've only been in it for about 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years or so. I mean, when COVID started, I graduated college in 2019. It was kind of a broke season, and I hadn't raced a lot before that. Like I raced go karts when I was a kid. I played football, hockey, and lacrosse all the way up through until I graduated high school, and then I went to college and I played lacrosse in college down in Florida. And my father said, if you want to get into racing when you get out of college, you graduate college, I'll get you a dirt car and a dirt modified, and we'll go racing. And I was like, all right, I had seen all the, like he said about my grandfather, all the traveling that he's done and all the different stresses and all the different stuff going on. So I wasn't really sure, if I really wanted to get into it or not. It's a lot of, a lot of stress, a lot of stuff to get orchestrated to make happen, and
a lot of depressed stuff.
So there's a lot of the people are like, oh, there's a lot of highs in this sport. Well, there's a lot more lows than there is highs. So that's why you cherish the highs when you get them. And but so I got to see Dad and my grandfather and go through the lows and the highs and everything like that. I was kind of wondering if I really wanted to get into that or not. And when I got out of college, Dad did what he said he was going to do. He got me a dirt car, and we went to my first racing that I did was at Airborne Speedway in a crate car, a 602 crate. And after that, the rest is history. It's I got hooked. So I raced that for like a little bit of a broken season kind of thing, and then. After that, the following year, I raced the 602 crate, and then the year after that, I raced the 602 crate at Devil's Bowl with him and with my dad and
Troy.
Troy, not that year, I don't think.
No, he was
No, he's
that
a
year.
he's a novice, but so I got to race with against my father. And we also raced 358 modifieds. Was it that year or was it the year after? No, it was the year after. Yeah. So anyways, I raced crates and then raced with Dad some, and he raced some. I think he was still racing asphalt at that time too. So he was traveling around. I was traveling around. He actually won at Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. That's a good memory. He raced Jennerstown, Pennsylvania with his asphalt late model. Was it the Pass Series?
It was just a race that
It was just a race. Okay.
Anyways,
Anyways,
race.
it was a big race, and he won. And so some of my buddies, two of my cousins, went up to the Airborne to race with me, and we were all on our own. Normally, I had Dad's crew and hitting Dad with me, and we were all on our own. And I won my race. And we're watching it, sitting in the stands, cheering for him, and he won his race. So that was a cool experience too. But the following year after that, Troy bumped up to race with my father and I, and so all three of us were racing the same class, the premier class at Devil's Bowl. And Dad and I were also running 358 modifieds at Mohawk International Raceway up on the up in Akwesasne, New York, and then after that, the following year, I raced big blocks at Malta, and that's where I got my feet wet with that. Actually, the first time I ever got in a big block was down in Florida at Volusia, and that was quite the experience. I was fortunate to make all the races down there and get some seat time, and the beginning part of that year back home was a struggle. I didn't do very well, and towards the end of the year, we got a little bit better. Got some stuff together, and it was cool. It was a lot of fun. I raced small block. Or we raced small blocks that year too, didn't we?
At Airborne.
At Airborne, a little bit with Dad, just a kind of a like 5 or 6 race series or season or whatever it was. But yeah. So, and then this year I'm kind of jumped. I jumped right in and signed up for the Super Dirt Car Series, which is all around New England, and I'm gonna follow that and learn a lot and hopefully learn a lot. I definitely will, but I'm looking forward to that. Racing with a lot of guys that run full time and do it for a living, and so it's going to be a challenge. So
What Jessica didn't tell you is running in that dirt circuit down in Florida with the big blocks. It's like trying to qualify for the Daytona 500. You get the best of the best of the best running these big blocks. And some of these guys have been doing it a long time. And there was 50 some cars, and they only took 25 into each night for the feature. He qualified every night to get into the feature, and the last night he was really doing well. He got it up to fourth, knocking on third. They had a wreck, then they had a restart, and the guy throwing him into the wall. He wound up finishing 8th in the race, but he ran a hell of a good race, and he had a hell of a good speed week. And I'm very proud of him.
That was on my way home from Louisville.
yeah,
I watched that in the boot barn.
yeah.
Erie, Pennsylvania.
In,
You left out.
in 60 seconds or less,
I did.
can you explain how to set up and what it means rear steer and go?
Rear steer. Okay. Well,
Not
go ahead,
big
Dad.
modifieds.
No, rear steer is when you're steering with your
Oh,
rear
yeah,
end.
yeah. Well, it depends on the track.
You don't want the car to be real sideways anymore. These cars are set up a lot like asphalt cars now. You don't want to, years of guys throwing it, pitching it, and throwing sideways and everything else. Really, they're going slow. You try to drive it in good and straight, get the car turned, and drive it off good and straight. The years of
cars, the best car. Right?
Pitching them and throwing them sideways nowadays, that's not a fast car anymore.
So that's actually that fad is actually fading then.
Oh yeah,
It is interesting. Okay.
you watch guys on dirt now, even the late models and all this stuff. They're not throwing them real sideways and getting them out of control. They're trying to keep the car as straight as they can, because if you go straight, you're going to go faster.
Interesting. It's counterintuitive, I guess, based on the eyeball test, and I'm certainly not a dirt track, aficionado by any means. But that's interesting to hear it from guys who are doing it. That's cool.
Well, believe me, we still throw them sideways.
Yeah.
It's not always the fastest way around the racetrack.
So you're not doing the whole crank up the axle, tons of input and the 3-link is just like stretched out to the max. You're not doing that anymore.
Well, we run coilovers now, and so now we have the suspensions in the rear have changed a lot versus what they used to be with bars, and the whole thing has changed a lot since you've gone to coilovers with the race cars.
Seem to be more of a tie down right front, hike up left rear kind of thing, and try to keep it in attitude.
And a lot of roll steer. The left side
Keep it
wheel
rolling.
is sucked right underneath the car now, and it never used to be that way. If you watch the late models race, their left rear
steer.
Yeah, that's for rear steer. It's sucked right under the car. And soon they let out the gas, the car wants to. Yeah, the car gets tight. So you got to keep the thing hiked up and keep it going. Keep it attitude.
So when you're that's what it seems to be. Like it's forcing that left rear forward, but you got to keep it on the throttle to keep it there and make it perform. The second you get off the throttle, you lose everything. The car falls apart.
You got to keep it on the torque arm.
Yes. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I've had a couple of people actually text into me. They want to know what you guys do in your daily lives now that you guys especially aren't as involved with the motorsports. I mean, Nick and Tyler, you guys are doing that, but what does the rest of you guys do?
Work.
Yeah, we're actually sitting in our waiting room at our Ford store, our Ford dealership here in Middlebury, and we about a mile and a half down the road, we got our Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram store too. So, and my grandfather about a half hour south of here.
About an hour.
About an hour. He's got his dealership down there, Gardner's Trading Post, and so we're just trying to sell vehicles, make some deals, and he's got more than just vehicles down there. You got equipment and all sorts of different stuff, and
Gates.
yeah, and you got all sorts of stuff. And then my
Fences.
we have Aunt Darcy too. My aunt, Tyler's mom, and Dad's sister, his daughter. But
It's a whole family affair.
But she's got a heavy machinery business right about half a mile down the road from us too. So doing like Devilon and Manitou and trailers and wreckers and all sorts of stuff. So
yeah.
The bottom line is, don't ever retire. I tried that. Got bored out of my skull and started another business. But what I also want to say is, I'm very proud of my family. Everybody in my family is a competitor. I mean, Todd is, Justin is, my adopted son here, Tyler, and Troy, and my daughter used to race snowmobiles. How she was picked up by Bombardier when she was drag racing snowmobiles. She showed horses, so on. My other granddaughter, Blair, has a jumping horse and also a barrel racing horse. Everybody in our family is a competitor in something.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Nick and Tyler, you guys farm, don't you?
Yeah.
How many acres? How many acres?
Awesome farm. Talk about it.
it's probably the cleanest farm you'll find around here.
It's an awesome
And they're
facility.
very self-sufficient too.
These guys don't miss a trick on that farm. I mean, they are on top of it,
So,
They're great farmers.
yeah, so we milk 1,500 cows. We have a methane digester, which produces power that goes on our electrical grid. We now have a grain system where we combine corn and soybeans out of our field, plus buy some in and process that to feed the cows. We do all our own field work. The only thing we don't do as of now is spray our own crops, which I can foresee that coming. So we try to make as much of a closed loop as we can, because people don't want milk, so you got to make it cheap.
Yep. So I'm assuming you guys are Case IH farmers because of the pulling tractor.
Absolutely.
No green in that neighborhood.
The only thing that's green on our farm is chrome. We run chrome choppers and mowers and balers.
Okay, so you guys chop up corn for silage then up there.
Yes, most of it.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of grain corn as of yet.
200 acres, 250.
Yeah, we did. We plant more than we need, but if it's a bad year, we chop it all. And like this year, we had an okay year, so we were able to combine around 200 acres of corn. Next year, we're hoping to combine more, and we combine about 500 acres of soybeans as of now, and we're going up with that next year as well.
Yeah. Has the no-till practice made its way up there into New York yet?
Yeah, we do no-till as much as we can, and a lot of minimum till, vertical tillage. It seems to help. We like it. I mean, it's field to field basis. Sure, as you know, some fields they need to be conventional tilled, but if you don't have to and you can save that input cost, and we're still seeing the production on the other end.
That's awesome. I was curious to know what the difference was between on the geographics here, because down here we're strict no-till, and then the only tillage that we have of any kind is strip tilling, and that's for corn planting down here.
Yeah,
So
we don't do any strip tilling. We haven't made it there yet.
It's coming, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you guys, we've taken up an hour, a little bit over an hour of their time. You guys have anything else?
Yeah, I've got.
Yeah, there's a question that Big Rye asked.
Yeah, we've got to ask one question, and we'll start with Mr. Gardner, and the rest of you can answer if you want.
Yeah.
If there's any pulling vehicle you could run anywhere at any time, what would it be and why?
Or race car. I think we can open that one up to race cars
Yeah,
too.
or race car.
Or car or whatever it is. What would you race or pull or do whatever if you why? If you could,
Somebody
why?
else's, not
Somebody
yours.
else's.
Oh, somebody else's?
Like, say you could run LD's tractor, anybody else's, somebody's vehicle you could run.
Well, I'd have to think hard and fast about that. I might like to run a unlimited hydro boat.
That's
That's like tractor for.
we have never had that answer, and I
That's a good
like
one.
it. I respect it.
I do too.
Hydro boat. Well,
I got one.
Tell
I
me.
got
Oh, really?
a 36 skater with twin PT6 turbines in it. It'll do about $1.30.
Oh, wow.
So
But it doesn't catch on fire.
Yeah.
We've had a few
Oh, God.
fires.
I think Brad Holzhauer has his MTI for sale with twin Mercs. I mean, maybe you could do that.
What did he say?
I don't know.
One of our good friends has his boat for sale. I think is what it
Well,
was.
this
Well, this
skater's
one's for sale if anybody else wants it.
The hot rod boat, I got it.
Anybody wants Gardner Stone's jet turbine boat,
Yeah.
you know where to
It's
go.
all American flagged up.
Nick and Tyler, what about you guys?
Anybody wants to let me drive a Pro Stock or a Diesel Super, I'll sit right on it. I don't care whose it is as long as it runs decent.
Yes.
I mean, I pretty much already ran the tractor I always wanted to run. I just wish it didn't hate me as bad as it does. So, yeah.
What about on this side, Mr. Todd? What would you drive? Car, pulling tractor, anything like that?
Well, I'd like to see it in a Super late model.
That'd be,
really, I'm pretty content with what I've done. To be honest with you, I don't really know of anything else I want to jump in and do. I'm pretty content of the vehicles that I've driven and what I've done, and I'm thinking I'm pretty good.
I'll let you drive my tractor.
Yeah, you want to sit on a 4-1?
One day we'll let Justin drive them both.
Yeah.
I think all of us have really, when we wanted to do something, we've done it. And, if that burning desire is there, we've picked up and gone with it. And
Yeah.
I don't know of anything else that any of us really, we've had a great life, all of us.
Yes, sir.
Not even anything bigger than drag racing?
What's that?
Nothing bigger in drag racing, like Pro Mod or
No,
Top fuel or something.
no, I
Go race, John.
when I was running, and I really enjoyed it. It was good. It was great. But these fuel cars, the maintenance factor is terrible on them, and I just that's too much. I just
We'll
wouldn't
just
want
run
to
it
do
once. Would you rather run it?
I'd get into a Pro Stock, run it. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, do you guys have any more questions for him?
No, I don't want to keep him any longer. You guys have been awesome.
Yeah.
You've brought it. The knowledge has been excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, we cannot say thank you enough. I mean, Justin, I got connected with you so we kind of all put our heads together, and we were like, who's one of our heroes and legends that we would love to interview in the whole family affair, and y'all's name immediately came up. So me and Wyatt got to look in, and we found the number for the dealership, and I think it was the receptionist lady.
You got Lynn, and she patched you through to me.
She did, because I called and asked for Mr. Gardner, and I mean, you guys have been awesome to us from the get-go with this thing, man. We can't say thank you enough. We're newish and growing every single day, and just having you guys on here, it's been absolutely awesome, and one of my heroes going back and watching the tapes. So thank you guys so much for that.
Thank
Well,
you.
we appreciate you having us.
Yeah, and like I told you before too, I appreciate having all of us on, but I think you could do a whole couple shows on this guy right here.
Yeah, we all knew he was really here for
Yeah,
us.
and we're cool with it, But
You can-
like I said, if you ever want us to set it up again, I'm sure you'd love to talk about it some more too.
You only tickled the stories.
Yeah, that was just the bare top of the
First chapter of the book.
The tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah.
We might have to do it. We have to do it in the trailer follow up where we get the after dark, the candid stuff.
It's definitely interesting to be able to interview, my dad, that's tractor pulled for so long and been in the sport for so long that, I hate to say this in front of him, but, guys like him, there's not a lot of them left that have started it and done it. And it's just, it's pretty cool to be able to interview him. So I want to say thank you very much for taking your time to interview him. That means a lot to me.
It's our honor and our pleasure.
It really is. I did not imagine whenever I first tried starting this out to be able to do it. I didn't think it was possible. I really didn't. And now that this has come true, this is kind of something I could check off my own bucket list as to even having a conversation with him.
And like I told you too, when we were talking on the phone, a couple days ago or so, I learned stuff tonight that I didn't even know yet too. So it's
Exactly what I was
it's cool to we don't get to sit down like this for an hour or 2 hours.
We've never done this.
You know what I mean? We're just so busy in our daily lives that we don't get to do this, and it's really cool to be able to do it. And again, thank you very much.
Yeah, connecting families. I mean, getting you guys back together and having this conversation and preserving it. That's what this is about.
Yeah. And you guys, this is going to be out there for you guys to go back and listen to anytime that you guys want to.
Awesome.
Which is even cooler.
My father got inducted into the Hall of Fame for tractor pulling and NTPA. Have you watched the video? It's a really good video they did.
You and Schreier.
I don't think I have. I don't know if
You
it's
gotta watch him and Dave Schreier at the same time. It was really, really cool.
Oh, that is cool.
I'm gonna see if I can find it, Shane. I'll try to find that.
It's on YouTube.
It's about a 15-minute long video.
Yeah, it's an awesome.
Really good.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something for everybody, even watching, something to look up.
Yeah. Charles, just drop the link for it into the comment.
Yeah, if I find it, I will. Yep,
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Well, guys, thank you guys so much once again. I mean,
Thank you.
all the
We
comments over here, this has been so cool for all of us. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Got it. I got it.
Uh-oh.
I got it.
Have a great night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.